broken the law, probably. They went after me, they went after me and I did nothing wrong.
That's President-elect Donald Trump speaking exclusively to NBC News today, answering questions about his plans for Kash Patel, his pick for a new FBI director. I want to bring in Molly Jong-Fast, MSNBC contributor and special correspondent for Vanity Fair. Okay, does that seem like conflicting messaging to you, given how many people Trump has vocally accused of being, quote, corrupt? Are you expecting action against his political enemies?
Well, I think that, look, it's very good to keep norms and institutions to protect them, right? So the norm is that the DOJ is separate, that the FBI is separate, that the president does not control these other parts of the federal government. The hope is that that will continue. And if it doesn't, the Congress and the rest of us are going to have to push back. So I was in some ways a little bit heartened that he said that, because that's a norm that needs to be protected. But obviously, we have seen this man say things and then say other things and then say different things. And so it's hard for me to imagine that you can necessarily take what he says to the bank.
Fair enough. I'm wondering what your reaction was to what he said about January 6th, in particular, the plans to pardon those who took part, in the storming of the Capitol, as well as saying the members of Congress who served on the House committee should be prepared to serve jail times themselves. Is this an empty threat, or should you take him seriously?
Well, so this is the big question, right? Is this an empty threat, or should he be taken seriously? And again, this is a person who says many different things depending on where he is. So it's a really important question. I would say absolutely, again, you want to protect norms and institutions, which means not, going after the president's political enemies, not using the federal government for that. And I would also say that pardoning people who have done violent crimes in the name of Trump. I mean, every sort of expert on preventing, this kind of thing says that it's quite dangerous to go to find people who have done political violence and then, pardon them, because you're saying ultimately that these crimes are not actually crimes.
You wrote that we, the media, need to cover Trump differently this time, that everything cannot be a five-alarm fire, or at some point people are just going to stop. They're not going to turn it out, right? They're just going to tune it out. Right. Was there anything in this interview that did seem like a five-alarm fire? And where does the focus need to be, not just for people reporting on this administration, but for Democrats who are trying to push back against some of these policies?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Look, for sure, there are definitely things he said in this interview, like, the stuff about Liz Cheney, that's really scary and that is really not a norm, a Democratic norm. For sure. But, we are in this period right now before the administration, and this often happens when there's a little bit of a lull. So the focus probably should be on reporting about these cabinet nominees and sort of, vetting them, real reporting about them, which we're seeing and real stories come out. And that kind of stuff, I think, is really, really helpful and important. And we see reporters, that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of criticism of the mainstream media right now. But and I'm on the opinion side, so I don't even have a horse in this race. But reporting is so important, and we're seeing such good, important reporting, stuff that we would otherwise not know about. And, if you want to stop corruption and you want to keep the federal government in line, the best thing you can do is have reporting, read reporting, have that sort of sunlight is the best disinfectant. So that's a really important norm, and that's a really important way to hold power to account. So, places like ProPublica, and that kind of stuff is actually quite expensive because you need to pay for lawyers and you need to have fact checkers.
And can be really unsexy sometimes. Going through reams of documents is not, it's a hard sell sometimes.
But it's so important, and it really is just crucial to keeping democracy going.
All right, Molly, thank you so much.